Okay, I'm ready. Becoming.
Trials and errors make us strong if we learn how to just move on and not give in. When we fall, falling down and getting up, when we will not be stuck in the places where we fall. We must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials we will see. Becoming who we'll be, it's not that hard if we can see. We've got to keep growing and not get stuck. Becoming you and me, we will become who we will be if we just hold on and not give up. We'll keep becoming. Oh, yeah. When we fall down, we must get up. We cannot get stuck in a rut, for then we'll see it's really not that bad. Many times we find ourselves caught up in all kinds of mess, and that's the plan that we'll give up. Oh, but we must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials we will see. Becoming who we'll be, it's not that hard if we can see. We've got to keep growing and not get stuck. Becoming you and me, we will become who we will be if we just hold on and not give up. Becoming who we'll be, it's not that hard if we can see. We gotta keep growing and not get stuck. Becoming you and me, we will become who we will be if we just hold on and not give up. We'll keep becoming, oh, becoming. We'll keep becoming, oh, becoming. Not what I used to be, not quite what I becoming, becoming. Said I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, not quite what I will be, becoming, becoming. I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, not quite what I will be, becoming. I'll keep becoming. Said I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, what I will be, not quite what I will be, becoming. I'll keep becoming. I'm not what I used to be, not what I used to be, not quite what I will be, becoming. I'll keep becoming. Not what I used to be, not quite what I will be, becoming. I'll keep becoming. We must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials. We will see. We will see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials. We will see. We must see that there's so much to be. Keep on living through the trials. We will see. We'll keep becoming. Yes, you and me will be becoming.
Good, great evening, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Situation Room with me, your host, Reverend Shonda Nicole Gladden. I am so elated and so excited, even if I may be a little bit sleepy, to greet you this evening as we are in our third night of our Final Five broadcast, where we are closing out 2020, having deep and wonderful conversations that touch the soul. Tonight, I am so grateful for the opportunity to introduce you all to the people who help to make sure that Good to the Soul is making positive gains in the marketplace, doing things that creates impact and value all throughout Indiana and abroad. And so tonight, if you've never heard of Good to the Soul, or if you said, I wonder what is it that Reverend Shonda even does, tonight is your night to tune in. Tonight is your night to hear from me, from the soul stirrers, and to even ask your questions, because we are looking forward to the ways that we continue to add value to your life and to the lives of all whom we encounter. So how should you engage tonight? Engage, please engage. The comment section is where this broadcast really comes to life. Without you giving comments, without you asking questions, the show can fall a little flat, and we never want the show to fall flat. But if you feel as though I don't really want my comments to be made known to everyone, feel free to always sign up to be a backstage guest in the Good to the Soul Soul Situations broadcast room. You say, how can I do that? Well, for the next 2 nights and any other night that we have a broadcast, make sure you visit the bit.ly link that's coming up in your comments right now, which is the Soul Situations, so you can register as a guest. It closes at 7:30 on the nights of the show. But if you want to sign up for tomorrow night or the next night, or even as we have additional shows coming in 2021, you make sure you get on that link and you will be backstage with us. So you can ask your questions privately. You can chat it up with our special guests when we have people that you say, hey, I'd really like to meet this person. You can chat it up because we have lots of fun in the green room. I'd actually call it the orange room in the Good to the Soul space when we hang out back here. But I don't want to keep you long. Our show tonight is just an hour, as it always is in the Facebook Live and YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, know that we'll be saying farewell, bidding you adieu at about 9:15, because at 9:30, some of us will hop back over to the clubhouse, where we'll have another conversation around the stem of becoming, one of the concepts that I write about in my book. But before that, we've got a jam-packed night, and I want to welcome to the stage a dear brother, my dear friend, who is part of the executive team here at Good to the Soul, and that is none other than Pastor Michael Jefferson. Pastor Michael is the senior pastor of Bethel AME Church in Plainfield, Illinois. He is a brilliant millennial strategist whose passion for education, ecological justice, and public policy, along with his gifts in administration, technological acumen, and resourcefulness, add great value to the Good to the Soul ecosystem. So without further ado, I want to bring my brother, pastor, and friend. Hey, Pastor Jefferson, how are you doing?
I am wonderfully well, and I'm super excited to be with you, my favorite boss in the world, to talk about the good work that we do at Good to the Soul. So I'm really excited for our conversation tonight. How are you?
Oh, well, as the elders say, I am yet holding on.
Yeah.
One of my good Baptist friends, one of my confidants, he said, now, it's no wonder you're exhausted. You're trying to do a 5-night Baptist revival with these broadcasts every night.
Yeah, and you didn't even bring any, guest revivalists or anything. You trying to lead it all.
It's a learning process. We have learned this week what not to do in the week of broadcast, but the people, you all have been so supportive and so encouraging. And so I hope and pray that the people have experienced this as Good to the Soul. So Pastor Michael, tell us about yourself. Let's not talk about Good to the Soul first. Let's talk about you. Who are you apart from what you do here with Good to the Soul?
Wow, that's a good question. I am I am a native of Indianapolis, Indiana, but my accent comes from Woodville, Mississippi. So I had a sort of a hybrid upbringing, growing up between urban Indianapolis and rural Mississippi. So I'm the eldest of four, son of wonderful parents, Michael Sr. And Tammy, and I've got three wonderful younger sisters. But outside of the work that I do for Good to the Soul, I am a pastor. I pastor Bethel AME Church in Plainfield. Shout out to the Bethel family. I work within our denomination, the AME Church, as the secretary for our presiding elder district, the Indiana Conference Young Adult president. And I also work. I work a job. So I work as an analyst for a major energy grid operator based here in the Indianapolis area that keeps the lights on for 43 million people. And when I'm not doing that, I'm also a full-time seminarian. So I'm halfway through my second year, pray for me, in the Master of Divinity program at Christian Theological Seminary here in Indianapolis. And when I'm not doing any of those things, I'm traveling, I'm eating, I'm sleeping, because a lot of that takes a whole lot of energy, and I love sleep. And I'm Netflixing. So that's who I am.
Now, what are you Netflixing? Give the people a recommendation. What should they be watching right now?
So I am an Anglophile. I love anything English, British history, anything like that. So I love The Crown. So I have watched it all the way through. I'm a huge fan of that production. So if you're looking for something that's very bingeable, you can head over to Netflix and watch that.
So love that you are, as you say, a self-described Anglophile. That's so exciting. I've never really gotten into those kind of British royalty shows, but with your recommendation, I may have to check out The Crown. So Pastor Michael, we're going to send you backstage, but we're going to have a full conversation with the whole team. I want to bring out another one of our wonderful soul stirrers, and we'll see you in a minute. Our next soul stirrer that I want to bring to the stage is like the mama of our group. This is going to be Miss Beverly Rogers. In her own words, she says she's a survivor. She survived a 40-year management career, 2 marriages with a blended family of 4 children, 43 years of marriage with the same man. We're going to talk about that. 12 years of his care as his caregiver and 23 years free of breast cancer. Ms. Beverly retired from the American Hospital Association in 1993, where she provided leadership, strategic direction, orientation, and support to 2 boards of directors, 22 committees, and 120 affiliated chapters. Although Ms. Beverly is a dedicated soul stirrer, her role at Good to the Soul is far broader than words could ever express. And so, friends, clap it up, give it up for Miss Beverly Rogers. Hey, Miss Beverly.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, well.
You know, I always have to ask, how you doing? Are you doing your self-care?
I know, Miss Beverly, and that's why I just paused and didn't answer anything, because I did not want to be convicted, and I definitely didn't want to tell you a story. So, okay. Ms. Beverly, can you tell the people a little bit about yourself in your own words? I know I gave the introduction, but who are you apart from the Good to the Soul ecosystem?
Girlfriend, when you're 78, close to 79, I don't even know which story to tell. I am the oldest of 3 girls, 11 years older than the next one, as though my mother forgot what to do. And the baby was born when I was 17 and graduating from high school. So I have been mama for a long time. I would say that what defines me is that not only being the eldest and the first grandchild for one side of the family, but I was the first Black female or the only Black female or the only Black. And so many of my experiences from 8th grade in Milwaukee, where it was supposed to be segregated, but was not. And I mean, desegregated. So I was the first and only Black female. 8th grade all through high school. My first job when there was civil rights they needed one black female. So I sat in the administrative office of the school board right in the middle. So when people walked in the door, they could see my black face. And so every job I had, I was either the first or the only black female. So that pretty much defined how I experienced certain things. But I've always been, Reverend Gladden, and why I love you, I have always been a music lover. So I started playing piano when I was 7, and I played organ in a church until I was 25 years old. And I quit because I was pregnant. So
wait, you play the organ?
Oh, girl, I played piano from 7 in high school. I played cello, and then I played the organ. Yes.
So when this pandemic is over, we are definitely going to have a Good to the Soul shed session, a jam session. I had no idea that you play instruments.
It has been a long time, so I don't know if my fingers can run the chords anymore. And of course, I played class. I started out with classical. So when in my deepest time, my deepest reflection, I can do the piano guys. I can do Iruma. I can do Beethoven, but I can also do a little Sarah, a little Nina Simone. Just bring it on. Bring on some, Donnie McClurkin and some Richard Smallwood or some James Cleveland, because I can do it all. So I would say, if anything, I'm a mixture of a lot of things, but more than that, and what makes me so happy about being a soul stirrer is I am an advocate. For the Alzheimer's, for breast cancers, and just more than that, for being a Black female who needs to be an advocate for herself and make her way in becoming who she needs to be. Who has God called you to be? What is your purpose? Where are you going, and what are you doing with the gifts He gave you? And that's my story.
So, friends, you all have learned more about Miss Beverly than I knew tonight. And as you can see, she's a wealth of knowledge. Now, Miss Beverly, we're going to bring you back out a little bit to have a deeper conversation when we have all the soul stirrers out, because that's just a snippet of your story. And I just know that we're going to have a little bit of high-spirited church if we leave you out here too much longer. So I'm going to send you back, and we're going to bring out our last soul stirrer for the night. This is the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Miss Katanya Austin. She is enthusiastic about being an advocate for all people, especially for youth and women. She understands the importance of building a committed relationship with the community naturally and spiritually. Experienced as an educator, an entrepreneur, and business administrator, she is an important member of the Good to the Soul team. So without further ado, I want to bring out Miss Katanya Austin. Hey, Miss Katanya.
Hello, and how are you?
Let's see. Oh, thank you. It was a process tonight.
Yeah, I understand. So, my name is Quitania Austin. I am the mother of 2 men, young men, and I am the grandmother of 5 grandchildren. And I spend a lot of my time trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. But more importantly, I love being a soul stirrer. Because it gives me the opportunity to connect with other people in congregations. And I have learned so much being a part of Good to the Soul. I'm excited in the fact that I can use the tools that I already have. I did teach for a school for a while, and now I work as a human resource agent at this point. And I also am a music person as well. I love music. I always have. I enjoy singing with my choir, which is Demetrius West and Jesus Promoters. We are stellars. And so we're known around the United States and abroad. And I get excited about that because we get the opportunity to visit in different cities and states, and we meet other people. And I learn so much from the people that I travel with, but I also am into art. I love art. I love to read. Reading is my thing. I love to read in my time. But I also am a worshiper, and I attend Crossroads AME, and I love it. And so that is about me. I enjoy just talking to people. I am very passionate about women who have gone through trials and tribulations in their lives, because I have too. And then I'm very protective of children. They make me laugh. They are like the funniest. They are so intelligent and funny. So I like to spend my time with children as well, understanding how we grow. So that is me.
Well, so you say you like to read. Uh-oh, we're getting a little bit of feedback. I'm going to put you back for a moment. Maybe you'll turn your device down just a hair. But you say you like to read. Can you give the people one suggestion of what they should be reading during the pandemic? What's a good thing?
Is that better?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes. Well, I read the Bible often, but I also read other books that are spiritual books, that help us to be able to cope with things, and learning how to pray, how to minister to ourselves and to our families. And then I also I do crosswords or Scrabble workbooks, so that helps keep my mind going, and it kind of takes off some of the stress. So yes, I read about those type of things, and I also like cookbooks.
So I'm going to bring all of our team out. And I don't know if you still have your earbuds, if you can put your earbuds back in, Katanya, because we're still getting just a hair of a difference. So friends, I am so blessed to be surrounded by the three of you. And now the whole world knows how blessed I am to be surrounded by the soul stirrers. Can you all now talk to us a little bit about what it is that we do here at Good to the Soul? So I brought all of y'all back out, even though that's not what I was supposed to do in terms of the script. But tell us a little bit about who you are for Good to the Soul. What does Good to the Soul mean to you? What is the work that you do here? Who wants to start?
Well, I do the most talking. It never fails that I do the most talking. But what I like about Good to the Soul is I'm able to help people articulate what it is they dream, articulate their vision. They can say what their vision is, but until you can actually make it look like something, when you repeat it back to them, they see it clear, and it's like, oh yeah, I get it. And I used to do coaching. Don't even ask, Reverend Shonda, but I used to be a coach, and they used to call me the question coach, because I would never tell them anything. I would ask the hard questions. And even my kids would say to me, Mama, don't ask me no questions. We don't want to answer nothing. No questions, please. And so what I like about being a soul stirrer is I can ask the hard questions that make people think about what it is they're really trying to say. What is it you really mean? What does that thought look like? And how do you help people to understand what your vision is?
Yeah, so thank you for that reminder. Let's talk to the people about what it is that we really do. So if you can let me know that you can see what we're doing here, hopefully you can definitely give a thumbs up that you can see, or just let me know that you can see. So yes?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, looks great.
Wonderful. So for the friends watching us on YouTube and Facebook Live, you have heard from these three soul stirrers and me. I'm the CEO of Good to the Soul. So what is Good to the Soul? You can visit us at www.goodtothesoul.com, of course, but we exist to energize individuals and institutions to flourish. So beginning back in 2016, I started off this Good to the Soul enterprise pretty much at that point in time as something that was very self-centered, very focused primarily and predominantly on me. That at the time of the beginning in July of 2016, I decided very early on, as I heard from the voice of the Holy Spirit, I believe at that time that I needed to release the work that God was stirring up on the inside of me. And so on July 15, 2016, surrounded by my family and my friends and supporters of investors, I took a leap of faith to launch what at that time was really nothing short and nothing more than a brand. It was an umbrella to house the expressions of the God-given gifts and talents that I felt called to share with the world. From serving as the publishing house for my first book, Becoming, Reflections on Maximizing Failures and Living into My Best Self back in 2016, to being the production company to debut my single of the same name that you hear as the opening song for our Soul Situations room. Good to the Soul at its inception was completely centered on me. At the time, I was raising a rambunctious child, pastoring a wonderful church full time, and using Good to the Soul as a very every now and then means to explore the myriad ways that I responded to the call of the God of the universe on my life. While that exploration was authentic and it was meaningful and it was fun, it became abundantly clear that God had other plans for this idea. And so in 2017, I was selected as an inaugural Do Good X fellow. And as a fellow, I attended the first Do Good X boot camp and the Startup Accelerator, where I reimagined what was possible with the idea of Good to the Soul. In 2018, I formally filed our business entity documents with the state of Indiana and built a website. But it wasn't until I experienced a disconnect between how I imagined church should be and what I was experiencing as a lead pastor that I found the courage to put in the work to see Good to the Soul grow. So 2 years later, and actually it'll be 3 years coming up, Good to the Soul is growing into a social enterprise that's engaged in energizing individuals and institutions to flourish. We are a for-profit social enterprise registered in the state of Indiana as a domestic limited liability company. As a social enterprise, we prioritize social impact over revenue profit, while being in the business of meeting unmet needs with iterative, innovative, and customized approaches. We provide culturally responsive consultation to churches and nonprofits and institutions of higher education and individuals who intersect these spaces. We coach clergy, congregational teams, faculty, researchers, and other individuals seeking to enhance professional and missional performance. We produce and manage social media, event, and other marketing content for churches, nonprofits, institutions of higher education, and individuals. And additionally, we convene spaces where the spirit of universal liberation is central, and participants are able to explore relevant subjects related to the cultivation of personal and communal wholeness. So why do we do this? I'm going to stop sharing the screen just for a minute because I want you to be able to see and hear from me just for the moment. And that is that we do this because 1 John chapter 3 and 2 records, "Beloved, we are all God's children now. What we are becoming has not yet been revealed. What we do know is this: when God is revealed, we will be like God, for we will see God as God is." Now, this scripture, it's been at the heart of every decision that I have made concerning Good to the Soul since our inception. It's been at the heart of how we've identified soul stirrers and how we've invited people to come alongside us as part of the team. Because as a follower of a way of Jesus Christ, I really and truly believe that it is my duty to show up authentically in every single opportunity that I'm given. And that doing so is what really makes a difference. As a business principle, this looks like coaching leaders to notice, name, and nurture their best selves, and to cultivate spaces where imagination and ideation are energized. So we have a lot of work that's in our hands, but we do so in a way that hopefully feels authentic. So as a soul stirrer, now that we've shared the history and the background story, tell the people what you do. What is one project that you've worked on, or one client that you've assisted on behalf of Good to the Soul, where you could say, this has really brought me joy. This really feels like something that I'm making a difference in the world.
All right. Well, one of the things that really energizes and excites me about being a soul stirrer is the opportunity to journey with the folks that we work with. So we coach, we work alongside, but we, as Ms. Beverly said, we help to bring out what's already there. And one of the things that we've been doing here for the last few months has been working with and journeying with congregations as a part of a health, as a learning community in partnership with IUPUI and some other awesome community organizations. And each of us has been assigned a group of congregations. And one of the most remarkable things about that experience has been getting to not just walk alongside, but to stir up the gift of God that is unique to that congregation, to that group of folks, and to the leaders that we get the blessed opportunity to work with. So I think that's one of the most exciting things about being a soul stirrer is you get to look at someone, you get to walk alongside them, but you also get to be a part of animating the goodness of the world and their soul and the gift of God that's inside of them. And you get to help see what God put in them, and you get to help bring it to pass for the goodness of the kingdom, but also
you
everybody
talk
they
our
can
language
touch.
when we talk about animating the spirit at work in the lives of these congregations, that is really the heart of what we do, that we listen deeply and we hear the story that people are trying to tell about themselves and the work that they're doing to tell that story. And then we try to come alongside and animate it in ways that it can be broadcast like this, in ways that that we develop content, the websites and the events that we host. I don't know if Katanya and Ms. Beverly were around even just recently with COVID-19 being so real and so many people dying and being unable to physically gather. People have turned to Good to the Soul to host even virtual memorial services. And one of the more recent things we've done, while it has been sad, is journeying with people and telling the story of their deceased family members in a virtual setting. We don't broadcast those kinds of things always, but we make it available so people can see one another and touch one another, right? So what else is something that others like? I'm gonna put you back because Katanya says she wants to talk to us. What's another project that you've worked on that you got excited about?
I got excited about the interviews that I had with the congregations. Their stories were phenomenal. Each church, each congregation had a different theme and a different goal that they were able to articulate it, put it together, and make it a package. And I enjoyed talking with the people to find out, what is their congregation about? What drives the congregation? What is the driving force for the community? I like the fact that I learned how involved the churches are with their community. Even churches I didn't even know about before. I just thought it was just in like different neighborhoods. Our congregations are kind of connected in the fact that in location wise. So it was interesting doing the interview. One of the gentlemen that I did talk with, Mr. B. We're just gonna call him Mr. B. He is so much information that I enjoy talking with him because I learn. He talks very quickly, but I understand what he's saying, and he teaches me as he goes along. And he will come back at me, well, Miss Q, you need to slow down just a little bit, and I take that as an honor because I really loved talking with him.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. And thanks for not putting our clients and our partners' names out there, because That was not what this was about. So I really appreciate you being sensitive to that. So as you think about the interviews and the conversations, and I want to bring all the other soul servers back out right now just for a moment. What does a typical month look like for, are there typical months for Good to the Soul Stirrers?
No.
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 There are not. There are not.
So that was a trick question, but give people a kind of idea of what's it like even working together.
Oh, I love the team. The one thing that I didn't say earlier is that I am a new resident of Indianapolis. I came here just going on 3 years now. And what I love about my soul stirrers and Reverend Shonda, of course, is that everybody welcomes me and is very receptive, especially since you know that I talk a lot. And I hate to say it, but I think I got a control issue. And what I love about working with the group that we're working with now is that we're talking about health. And with me being a health advocate and an advocate in so many ways, I love the fact that we are able to talk about health and the next step and moving on. And with the pandemic right now, moving on and creating a new normal, not going back to a normal, but creating a new normal is the discussion. That is the lead topic. And I love discussing it because even with my fellow soul stirrers and with the group that we're working with, it's like, okay, what will that look like? So it's creating a vision. And I think, and of course, I know you're going to go to flourishing next, but that's what flourishing is. Flourishing is becoming the best that God has called you to be. And when we're talking about a pandemic, we want to come out of this, first of all, without Corona May. We don't want her across our threshold. But what will the new us look like? What are you looking for? What is the light at the end of the tunnel? So creating that new normal, and I love discussing it with you guys as well as with the community.
Yeah. What will a new normal look like? And that is part of the story that we help our clients to tell, and to give them an opportunity and even the permission to imagine what a new normal could look and feel like. Sometimes people just need permission and they need a companion on the journey around what does the future look like. And so I know I have been really blessed to watch how you all work with some of our clients to give them permission to dream. I can see when the spark happens for them, when their souls have been stirred because of something you said or done. And I can't tell you about the text messages and the emails that come through from people saying, my soul stirred, da, 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 da. And so they just get, as we say, energized in ways that is so life-giving, and just so, it feels as though we are partnering with God in a way that's really making a difference. And from this idea in my head and this inkling in my spirit to seeing it alive in your hands and your feet and your words and your work, I'm not going to cry on this. Go ahead, Ms. Beverly.
What is also very inspiring is that even though I say I have this control issue, I've always, with my two kids, you tell them. And I came up during the time when it was like, this is the way it's going to be because this is mama's house, period. This is mama's house. You live in mama's house. And so even though I have this control issue, there is something about working with you guys and with the community is not telling them, but listening. And so I have learned to listen more and to be, and for me to be flexible enough to listen more than just talking and asking questions and and enjoying and obeying the silence that comes when people don't quite have the answer.
Yeah.
So I am becoming as well.
Absolutely. I have to echo Ms. Beverly there. There's a wonderful blessedness that comes from sharing and journeying, because we're not just journeying with our clients, we're also journeying with each other. So we listen and we learn and we grow with one another and we celebrate each other, right? So we've all, over these last few months and longer that we've been together, we've shared life experiences with one another, and we have celebrated milestones, and it is a wonderful joy to be a part of this team, and to have a place where we get to grow as well. So there is the opportunity to ask powerful questions, like Ms. Beverly just mentioned, and then to embrace the fact that our folks that we're working with might not have the answers, but we get to sit with them in that space while the ideas come and while the soul is stirred and the gift gives birth and gives life to, even in that sort of pregnant, because it's not just a silence, it's often a pregnant silence. And if you wait long enough, something will come up and out. So it's an absolutely wonderful journey and a treasure to be a part of this team.
Yeah, so what we get to do is steward the silence. That the silence just doesn't exist as something scary or something murky or something absent of anything, but it is an opportunity to steward it in such a way that you see, just like that. Even in that moment of silence, you're like, well, what happened? Well, did something happen unintentionally? Is there something else that's going to happen? That it's an opportunity to sit in stillness and to see what the Spirit will provoke on the other side of it. That you all, as soul stirrers, you really, really, really have cultivated something new that I think is remarkable and different. And so some people are asking questions, and we're almost at the end of our time together. I can't believe how fast it went. But if you have questions, if you're interested in any of our services, it says that I'm interested in GTTS's production capabilities. Can you talk about what that looks like for groups who need this service? So I'm going to let our tech consultant to take that one, if you don't mind.
Of course. And so one of the things that we do as a team is we have targeted specific services. So in terms of production capabilities, it can be as simple as hosting and supporting a Zoom, all the way as specific as setting up a StreamYard and running and creating a full run of show, all the way down to the second in terms of timestamps. It could be creating and cultivating flyers and graphics and coordinating and walking alongside you, and even doing just the production audit of sorts to see, do you have all of the things that you need, and can we come alongside you, and even just doing general consulting. So one of the awesome things about what we do from a technical perspective is we're jack of all trades. So we get a chance to ask you, and you take the lead. So whatever it is that you're interested in doing, we generally have some experience and some exposure, so we can walk alongside you. So as the lead person in charge of tech and working with someone who's very has a very high technical acumen. So as much as I'm the lead tech consultant, I definitely learn every time I work with Reverend Gladden. The blessing is there are levels to this, and whatever level you're at, we're prepared to meet you and walk alongside you.
Yeah, it's so interesting. Just even this week that, people are excited about this Clubhouse thing. And someone said, well, are you doing Clubhouse coaching? Because you are just so good in the thing. And I'm just like, listen, friend, it's all new. But I think because for even before the pandemic, for the last 6 years. I think the first client that we had that paid us to host a webinar was almost 6 years ago. And so that was on GoToMeeting, and people aren't even using that anymore. So what does it mean now that we're moderating conversations as new platforms come about? Is that we've had that kind of technological memory and exposure that enables us to pivot in different spaces. So yes, we familiarize ourselves with all kinds of platforms, and if you are interested in it, we probably can help you with it. But before we jump out of this conversation, I do want to go back to our PowerPoint. And again, when we talk about being tech savvy, the thing that is my challenge today is that we are not in our space, our normal working space, where I can just lean over and say, hey, could you to make this happen? But we're spread all across the country. And so I'm going to share once again this PowerPoint and go from there. And hopefully, because people you seem to be asking questions about how can you partner, what can you do? I want to share this just once again, this notion of I told you who we are, but let's talk about where our targets are as a company, as an enterprise. We aim to work within these 4 targets. Yes, there are 6 service areas, but the 4 targets are specifically equipping practitioners and leaders to build capacity and connect to resources. You heard how the Soul Stirrers are doing that in some of the context. Leveraging social and relational capital for community transformation. And I'll talk about those communities that we're intending to transform and come alongside of in just a moment. Liaising with community stakeholders for mutual benefit and enhancing cultural competency across lines of difference. You will notice that all 4 of us are phenotypically Black, but we have had global experiences that enable us to traverse all kinds of cultural settings. Maybe that's not true for your organization and you're wrestling with diversity, equity, and inclusion, or you're wrestling with conversations around how to welcome LGBTQ plus people and what to say and do to make you politically and socially and culturally responsible. We're here for those kinds of conversations, and we do it all to create wealth for philanthropic good. I played one of those social media games recently, and it said that one of my resolutions was to win the lottery, and I chuckled because I said, just so I could give it all away. I don't even take a salary with Good to the Soul. Our staff gets compensated, of course, but none of us does this full time, and none of us gets a full-time check. The compensation model that we have, we believe is equitable for the time spent and the workload, but at the same time, it enables each of us to send forth additional resources into the communities that we are serving. And so the 6 target regions is Central Indiana, where we are primarily based. Our office is located in the 46208 zip code. But then we also target and do work in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, in Chicago, Illinois, Rochester, New York, Atlanta, Georgia, and Cape Town, South Africa, that we are in strategic conversation mode in each of these 6 target regions so that over time you can see the Good to the Soul imprint being engaged in these target regions, because we're connected to practitioners on the ground there, and we are training and coaching them around their own specific communal needs. Now, I know we have to get out, but many of you want to know, how can you partner? Primarily and specifically, remember our work in your prayers. As you heard, we are a Jesus following movement. Many of us are, actually all of us are members of AME churches. I serve as associate pastor at Crossroads, and Pastor Michael is the pastor of Bethel AME, and Miss Katanya and Miss Beverly are both also members of Crossroads. We our foundation is in faith and the work that we do. We love your prayers. We need your prayers. Your prayers fuel our work. Utilize our services. You can visit our website and see how to get connected. In 2021, we will be pushing out a different look for the website, so you can expect to see that in the coming days. But connect us to networks in your city or town. If you are already based in any of our target regions and you want to know how can you partner with Good to the Soul, send us a DM on one of the social media platforms or even on our website. But invest in our work. Some people will come and need our services, particularly as I'm thinking of smaller churches, but can't really afford to pay the full price. We don't really turn work away if it is in our proverbial wheelhouse, but we're able to not turn work away because others invest. We have people who have invested in Good to the Soul who have never utilized a single service, but we make sure to provide an annual report so that they see the social impact that their investment dollars has made in the various communities. So you can invest by visiting goodtothesoul.com/invest. Of course, you can Cash App Good to the Soul. You can also PayPal Good to the Soul. All of the ways that you can come alongside the work that we are doing here, because we're about energizing individuals and institutions to flourish. And hopefully you have experienced today as a good conversation, that you are excited about the work that we're doing. You want to see us succeed, not for our individual sakes, but for the sake of the spirit of universal liberation, for the sake of the culture, for the sake of the realm that God desires to build beyond what any of us is currently experiencing. So we want to take some questions. So if you are here, you're watching on YouTube or Facebook Live, please go on and put your questions in the comments, and we'll try to take them for the next 5 or so minutes if you have questions that didn't get answered in our presentation. Soul Stirrers, if any of you want to say anything before we start taking questions, feel free to give some closing remarks as well. So I see a comment that says you guys do a lot with a few. Yeah, we try to. And I see journeying with each other. Thank you. That's the work that we're about, journeying with each other. So if you all don't have questions, though, we will certainly close the night and give our soul stirrers some time to get back to work. No, to go to sleep. I have so not a taskmaster. I think, as y'all have heard, that this is really about, thank you for that question. How do you arrive at soul stirrers? So soul is an acronym. Normally when you see our work, you will always see soul capitalized, the SOUL. And that, again, I've said it a few times, and I think others have said it. It's the spirit of universal liberation, that we are about stirring that spirit of universal liberation. We have, it's still in development, in the beta development, the soul assessment, where we recently have presented the soul assessment of what that looks like to tap into those sources that are present in the life of an institution that either suck the soul out of the institution or enable that institution to flourish. And so the soul assessment is where we really arrived at the soul stirrers. It is about, how do you have someone who is not a part of your institution or your organization to come alongside, to hear your story, and to then reflect back what has been heard in such a way that stirs an organizational culture shift that presents something new as an opportunity to grow your institution. So that's pretty much how we arrive at soul stirrer, that these are people who have a vested interest in the life of many institutions, not because they are a member of the church, not because they go to school there, not because they are a part of your family, but because they have been given an opportunity to come alongside you, to hear your story, and then to stir up the gifts that are found therein. Utilizing our resource database, utilizing the trainings that we do together in our human-centered design process. So hopefully that answers your question. No questions, but I appreciate the work you do, and I'll be reaching out. I've been inspired tonight. Well, thank you. That was the hope, that in this soul situation room, that we could shine a light on the work that we do and inspire somebody. Soul stirrers, anybody have a closing thought? I know I promised y'all that it would be your time to be backstage at this point, but closing thoughts, 60 seconds or less.
I would say that I remember the Holy Spirit saying to me that my purpose was to empower women to be the best that God called them to be. And that meant releasing all of my own expectations, all my own judgments. Mm-hmm. And so each day I ask, not so much what is my purpose, but what is my assignment? Because my purpose is always the same, but my assignment may be somewhere else. And so each day I am always trying to make sure that I'm not only on purpose, but on assignment.
Amen. Anybody else?
Just that it's been fantastic to share about the work that we do and the spirit of universal liberation. That is at the core of who we are and what we do and what we believe about the world around us. And so that animates everything that we do. And we look forward to working with you. So if you have any questions, please reach out. We're excited to share. And we're also excited for a fantastic 2021 to build on all of the goodness that happened this year for the company and for all of our wonderful partners and co-journeyers in 2020.
And I would like to say thank you for the opportunity to serve. You asked me to be, if I wanted to come, and I did, and I'm glad that I did. It's been a pleasure to work with all of you. I have learned so much.
Well,
from each one of
thank
you.
y'all so much for being present, soul stirrers. I'm going to bid y'all adieu, but for each of you who have watched tonight and have participated, or perhaps you're even watching the replay, again, I just have really enjoyed working with this team of soul stirrers. And I hope that you've enjoyed tonight's soul situations conversation with our wonderful soul stirrers. In the coming year, of course, we hope to continue our coaching and our consultancy work with an increased clientele. Maybe that's going to be you. But we also hope to expand our Light and Levity platform. If you'll visit the website, you'll see that Light and Levity is currently a place that just has a blog post, but we are hoping to expand it to include more dynamic content as we host these soul situations rooms. You will experience them once a month, every month for the first 8 months of 2015, and we'll talk about why that is the case on our last soul situations room of the year, the 31st at 8:15. But every month at 8:15 on the 15th of the month, you can meet us right here on this platform where we will be having additional conversations that is centering the lives of people doing good in the spirit of universal liberation. This means in the coming months, you will continue to see a shift in our online presence as we center the stories of Black LGBTQ plus people, as we center and have essays and other creative and inspirational writing from people who are, again, doing good to the spirit and universal liberation. In addition to expanding our storytelling platform, you can expect to see an expanded offering of soul merchandise. You see the jacket that I'm wearing. We have little All Souls children's merchandise. We have Soul Sisters merchandise. We have the Soul Man line. All of these things that you'll be able to see, including apparel, home goods, and mindfulness resources. But lastly, in this coming year, you can expect us to return to one of the first endeavors of Good to the Soul, with hopefully a publication of a sophomore work and books by authors whose works are aligned with the spirit of universal liberation. So on behalf of Good to the Soul and from the depths of my heart and soul, I say thank you for not only believing in the vision, but watching tonight, sowing seeds, and investing in bringing the vision to pass. We've been on a 5-year journey, and it has been enabled by people like you. So we say thank you. Remember, if you're on Clubhouse, a few of us may be over at 9:30 to have an additional daily dose of Soul Situations after party. But for now, keep doing good to the spirit of universal liberation and keep being good to yourself. We love you, and I'll see you tomorrow night for Soul Situations as we have a conversation with dads of daughters when daddy's girls grow up. Y'all take care, and we will see you soon. God bless.